What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Don Goofy, and I'm here to talk to you about Tokyo Revengers. Tokyo Revengers is known for being one of the wildest and yet wholesome shonen anime series of all time. But the story might come off as a little trippy. The presence of realistic and reckless characters who develop with time makes everything so much more enjoyable. And by such characters, I mean TAKEMICHI HANAGAKI. I probably butchered that name, but for some reason, some of you dislike him. He's famous for having low self-esteem, always doubting himself, and being apologetic for his own existence. But hey, his character has a lot more potential than any of you could ever imagine. So in this video, I'll be doing an in-depth analysis on Takemichi and how he is not a sore loser, but merely a guy trying his best. But before we get into that, go ahead, smash that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe, and let's try to get more views on this one. So now that we have the intro out of the way, I just want to let everybody know that the spoilers are not going to be existent here. I'm not going to spoil it for you, so if you're worried about it, don't be. But let's dive deep into why people hate Takemichi. I can think of off the top of my head 3 main reasons. The crying aspect. Takemichi, unlike his counterpart, the My Hero franchise, Midoriya, they are both crybaby protagonists. With every inch of their fiber, they are crying any chance that they get, whether it's happy, sad, angry, they just cry. And I gotta be honest, it's not the best way for a protagonist to be portrayed. Secondly, he comes out as weak and small. Understandably that he doesn't have the unnatural strength as Mikey, Draken, or even Hanma. He is technically normal with the ability to time travel. With that being said, he doesn't forego any strength training. He doesn't try to make himself a better person physically. Yes, he is trying to make himself a better person emotionally, and also mentally, but he doesn't do it in a physical stance to where he knows that he's going to have to fight battles, yet he doesn't take in a proactive manner. And thirdly, unlike his co-stars, Draken, Mikey, Hanma, Baji, he just doesn't have any drip, and it's non-existent. With the jokes out of the way, once you really dig into Takemichi's character, you realize that he's a genuine one-of-a-kind. A young fellow who appears to be your typical convenience store employee who is quickly to apologize and bow to avoid any conflict. Takemichi is far more than a pitiful young man, and behind that seemingly pitiful exterior lies a man willing to go the extra mile for those he loves and cherishes. Given the unusual ability to travel back in time, only 12 years, which is really weird, Takemichi has taken it upon himself to right the wrongs of his past adolescence to save his ex-girlfriend and stop Mikey from becoming what Mikey is. But before Takemichi can go back and save his beloved and take on his friend's dark impulses, we have to learn what type of character Takemichi is. In terms of character, he has an attitude of never giving up, even if it means causing him harm. For example, as a member of Tomen, he had to deal with a slew of difficult situations. He had to put up with Osana, or Mobius's, violence, and this man just got repeatedly punched in the face. And I mean a lot. Like, I think we'll have a punch counter at the end of this. As a person who was misguided and lost all sense of direction, becoming lost without a cause, he endured numerous self-esteem issues. He was never financially stable. The attacks from his gang previously destroyed him mentally, and he never recovered. It isn't until you get further into the manga where you understand why he is the way he is, and it isn't until you understand that he had so much more potential before ever meeting the previous gang leader. I forgot his name. I'll put his picture up. But when you think about how much potential he had in the beginning of the story, and then you see because of one person destroying his mental health, and instead of becoming the crybaby hero, he becomes the hero of self-doubt. And which is why at the end of each chapter, after you feel his pain and you go through the series and you see him, his resilience is so more admirable. Takemichi, as you already know, frequently gets punched in the face. A lot. And he is considered to be one of the weakest members of Tomen. This man has never escaped a fight unscathed at all. Takemichi is aware of this, and it is one of his main sources of frustration that he is constantly at a significant disadvantage. It is made worse when he's thrust into a world where confrontations happen almost every day, and almost everyone has to be won by brute force. Like Tomen's leader Mikey, people would never criticize him for being the most muscular guy. In fact, he idolizes. He sees it as a representation, as the version of a new era of delinquents. In Tokyo Revengers, confidence is based more than just your physical prowess. It is also based on your character and your moral standings. Another way Takemichi defies a toxic masculinity outlook is his willingness to express his emotions. Nobody ever makes fun of him for crying. Akun even dubs him, who is widely observed to be the strongest person in Tomen, actually in the entire anime period. Takemichi has to conceal his fear when Draken is injured, maintaining his picture of the invincible Mikey. It takes a great deal of courage for Takemichi to wear his soul on his sleeve and be able to have everyone know what he's about. And since we have most of his personality and characteristics down, let's talk about some of his skills. He has no real powers. His authority. Takemichi is the first squad commander, and he can direct them, as he's a great exception because he doesn't know Takemichi. And by him not knowing him, knocked out, wakes up, gets knocked out again, and yet he still is determined to save everyone. I mean, can you imagine punching someone repeatedly, knowing that knowing that you're stronger than them, but they just keep getting back up? It is like that one boss monster that you know that you just beaten after you did the entire side storylines, and then his fucking health bar regenerates for the second time. Takemichi is one of those heroes who never give up, and you can't blame him. He has a lot of other inadequacies, but giving up is not one of them. He accepts responsibility and deflects it all towards himself, and he tries to work on them and conquer them, such as when it comes to the conclusion that he has to fight with Himosa, which is the guy that I couldn't remember before. If he does, and he wins, he saves Draken and he saves Hina. But if he loses, he realizes that everything that's happened is going to happen all over again. Takemichi has always been dubbed the crybaby hero, or the crybaby by most of his friends, and all of the other tough guys. But this does not always imply that his tears are in vain. Takemichi, despite his frail exterior, has a very strong sense of right and wrong. Yes, he is a bit of a delinquent, but once again, he does hang out with gangs. But his demeanor, his thoughts and actions are always with an honorable suggestion. Takemichi rarely cries because of his teeth being knocked out, or having a knife pushed through his hand, or just getting the shit kicked out of him. Rather, he cries when he's worried about his friends. He cries when his fears overwhelm him, and he cries when he knows that he can't do anything about it. We know you're crying for the right reasons, Takemichi, and we think it's beautiful. Takemichi may not be one of the most self-assured characters on the planet, but his ability to care for others and refusal not to go down even when the fight is way out of his hand and way out of his control, it's worth cheering for. And if you guys disagree or have any more opinions, conceptions, or just want me to talk any more about Tokyo Revenger characters, go ahead and let me know. Drop a like. Tell me what I missed. Tell me what I can improve on. I'm all ears. Thank you. I love you. Remember to stay goofy and stay hydrated.